Hello everybody, welcome to the free movie review. Last night I saw Resident Evil Retribution in this movie. Well, anyway, let me just get down to saying that yes, there's a lot of actors from the previous movies return to reprise roles or sort of roles. And also take note that practically like all the movies, this one is an hour and a half long, but with about 8 minutes of credits. The actual movie itself, including opening titles, is about just under an hour and a half by a couple minutes. So yes, it's a short movie, which unfortunately it shouldn't be. This movie was awesome. Of course, it's fan service galore of returning monsters from previous movies, introducing monsters from the games and characters from the games, and showing how badass they are. I must say, even the Ada Wong, she looked amazing in this. Probably even better than she does the video game character. One nitpick I sure did have was, it's probably a few nitpicks, but one that I really thought they could have just done something about was that Jill's suit was blue in this movie when we could clearly see that it was violet at the end of 4th Resident Evil movie. But yeah, that's a nitpick. This thing was totally action-packed, took us to a new location, and I guess you could say new locations, but it was actually one place. And it sure did look amazing. Kind of makes me wish I saw it in 3D, because just seeing it in 2D looked so good. Maybe the slow motion parts probably would have made it look even better in 3D. And another thing is the music, I must say, was quite enjoyable. It's very reminiscent of the first Resident Evil live action movie, which probably has one of my favorite soundtracks of all time from the movie. Top ones anyway. And I gotta say, you do get a feeling that they've taken a lot of elements from the first movie, stuck it in this, and then just took parts and pieces from all the other movies and put it in there too. I really did enjoy this movie up to a certain point, but I'll get to that soon. Let's see here. I guess to say another nitpick was that Alice, Melina Jovovich's character, she just automatically knew sign language, which I don't know, they never hinted at in the other movies, so she just knew it. I do like what they did with bringing back some of the monsters from the old, but what they did to revamp the old ones, I did like what they did there. You can sort of see which characters are going to die pretty early, and also that some of the deaths are pretty cool. They do a pretty good recap at the beginning of the movie of what's been happening in the series, just the basic overlay. Not really going into characters that didn't make it through, but the characters that will be relevant for what you need to know. And the opening is very beautiful. What they did was they did a very slow-mo reverse viewing of it, which looked very beautiful, but I just sort of like to see it at normal speed going forward. Probably just make it a whole lot shorter, of course. And now for the downside I've had with the whole movie. With it being about an hour and a half runtime like all the others, I mean, the others pulled off well because they were complete stories. Each one had a beginning and an ending, and they didn't have to go to the next movie. But they did. This one, on the other hand, the last 2 minutes, well, I guess you could say the first 2 minutes of the opening sort of undid some of the purpose of the last movie or two, and then the last 2 minutes of this movie totally undone the reason of the last movie together. I just gotta wonder, what is the point of doing that? I liked this movie all the way up to that point. This movie was awesome until you did that, and then you just gotta, then they throw it in your face. They don't tell you anywhere that they're gonna do this, but this is actually part one of a story arc. It's just one subplot, so it's not really a subplot, but a plot point, I guess you should say. An act, that's it. It's just an opening act to the next one. It's kind of like Fellowship of the Rings to the Lord of the Rings. So it's something like that where you don't get closure at all. You just get anticipation for the next one. All the other movies, they were complete movies. They have an opening, there was a goal, they get to the goal, and then they sort of hint that there could be a next one. First two, there could be, but they didn't have to go on. Third one, they really punched that they really wanted to do with. Fourth one, they didn't have to. It was good right there. Fourth one, they had that little secret ending in the credits that showed that, hey, we got plans for a fifth one. You know, they didn't really have to do it. It would have been just fine if they ended right there. Leave our guesses wondering. This one, the way they ended it, there's no way that they could undo this. They gotta make a sixth one so they could actually have the second part of the story, which they don't fully give you a full point of the story in this one. Characters appear, they have to rescue Alice, and that's pretty much what they do in the whole movie. It's just to rescue her for the what the actual plan is that they never get to, and then they just written themselves into such a corner at the end. I mean, sure, what they did to undo some stuff to let things happen forward, that could probably just get rid of that corner like they did with the opening of 4th Resident Evil movie. They get rid of that scenario. So yeah, they could easily just do that again, which I might be okay with. This is an awesome movie, but the problem I have is just that it's only half or maybe even less than half of an actual movie. It's just one really long action scene where the actual plot and conclusions are coming. You gotta wait for the next movie because you'll get no closure here. There's no conclusion, there's no finish line. There's a take a breath, wait a couple years for the next one point. But besides that, it was enjoyable. It was fun. I gotta say, Russian zombies with machine guns, that's something. They're not Nazis, but come on, you don't see many Russian zombies. So Resident Evil Retribution, the 5th live-action Resident Evil movie, is good, but not as a movie, just as part of a movie. I mean, I think the Fellowship of the Rings was probably more of a whole movie than this is, along with being part of the movie trilogy, including the story. This just drops you off at just a stop point that was like, why stop there? I mean, if they just extend this by another 20 to 30 minutes, they just could have easily wrapped this up. I mean, it'll be even bigger, greater action scenes, but hopefully they'll give us some story to fill in parts they don't have. So, yes, we're going to have to wait, what is it, 2 years, maybe even more, considering how some of these movies go, for the 6th live-action Resident Evil movie to see what happens next, and probably unlikely of how they're going to conclude this whole story arc of Alice and her taking on Umbrella and the zombies. Oh, another nitpick, what was with Big Bad in this movie? Yeah, it does sort of fill in a few plot holes, or mini plot holes from the previous movies of how they worked out this one, but I'm just going to have to say that I did have super fun until just the last 2 minutes when they showed that this is just part 1 of this new story arc. Alright, I guess that's all I have to say. Resident Evil fans, of the movies anyway, should definitely check it out, but prepare for a quick stop at the end. Game fans, I don't know, you get to see a lot of fanfare, so that's probably worth checking it out. 2D was good. Haven't had a chance to see it in 3D.